Right then, so we've got Traktor open and we've got it showing up on the desktop. We don't now need to see the desktop. We know that we've got my DJ tunes and we know we've got this backup external hard drive. So we can go full screen on Traktor. To go full screen on Traktor, you need to click on the little square box. So now Traktor takes up the whole screen and you don't have to worry about what's going on behind it. Now, when I've opened Traktor, it opens to track collection. And track collection is just stuff that has been played before. So, in the case of the tunes that I can see in this track list, I can try and drag something over and I get that red flashing light. That means that it does not know where that tune is. It was on there at one point, but it's not there now. So that could mean that somebody else has used Traktor on a youth club laptop before, or just your laptop. It could have been a hard drive that was plugged in, and now that hard drive isn't there, so the music isn't there. So this is just a list of stuff that has been played in the past, but may no longer exist on the computer. So you can kind of ignore this list. If it's your own personal computer, then that's fine. It will probably know where your music is unless you deleted it. So we can look at playlists. Not important at this stage because we haven't made a playlist. We are still in the embryonic stage of the music and we haven't actually put it on the computer. So the next one down is Explore. This is the one we need. So if we click on the plus sign of Explore, this is going to show me the contents of my computer. Now I know that in Home, if I click on it and then double click on it, I can see my desktop. Double click on my desktop, I can see the folder called DJ Tunes. That's the folder that I know is in behind this screen. Click on that. Oh look, I have got my 6 tunes there. They exist in real time. They are there on the computer. I can play these 6 tunes. I also, if I scroll down a little bit, it shows me iTunes. Now, I think, as far as I know, it's only available to iTunes, but if you've got iTunes on your PC or your Macintosh, then it will recognize iTunes. You can click on that and the folders inside iTunes you can then use to play your music back. So if you've got iTunes, or if you've got a computer that hasn't got iTunes, I would suggest you do get iTunes. It makes life a lot easier. You can make folders on your iTunes that are called DJ folders. You can then call it drum and bass, you can call it dubstep. You can kind of choose the folders and make the little sets of types of music that you want to use. So iTunes, pretty handy with this piece of software. So I'm going back up to my DJ Tunes folder. Here it is. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at a title, I'm looking at an artist. The artist is all me. I've also got the BPM. Now, in other tutorials we've talked about BPMs, and when you're making your own music, we talked about how it's important to understand that with what type of music you're making, the BPMs need to kind of match up to that genre. So for techno or drum and bass, they could be quite fast BPMs. For hip hop, they could be quite slow BPMs. But making those BPMs in the relative area of your genre is a very good thing, because when you come to now DJ that, your BPMs will be critical in how that music sounds when you play it back. So I've got a selection of BPMs here. My computer has already recognized those BPMs. Now, if you're playing your music for the very first time, there will be a big row of zeros there. And that means that it hasn't yet worked out the BPM of your tune. Now, Traktor has the capability of working out the BPMs. And what it will do is when you drag a tune into the A or B section, it'll spend a little bit of time analysing it. Depending on how fast your computer is, it will suck it in and it will work out the BPM of that tune. And what it will do is then, from that point onwards, when you plug your hard drive back in or when you plug your MP3 player back in, it will say the BPM in this little space. And the BPMs are critical to what you can produce DJ wise. So let's have a little look at how we get these tunes into A or B. It's pretty straightforward, really. You have your mouse, you can click on a tune. I will click on this one, bring them on, and I will drag it in to the A side. Bang, there we go. It is now showing me several different parts of this tune. It's showing me the whole tune in this section. This is the entirety of the tune in the representation of a waveform. And a waveform is trying its best to show you the peaks of the beats and the troughs of the tune. And by the peaks I mean the dumph, dumph, dumph sort of sound, the big heavy upbeats. And then if it goes a little bit ambient in a section, and I can see here where it's a little bit less blue, that's an ambient section where there's probably no beats. So in this section it's showing you a much more closer inspection of that tune. And if I drag it across, it's scratching at that moment as I drag it across. So what can I do with this immediately? Well, I can just push play. So there we go. Push play, and then push it again, and it stops. Now, if I want to rewind that tune back to the beginning, I can use this little arrow with a line right back to the beginning again. What else we've got on the A is we have got a speed control. So the natural BPM of this track is 170, and it's 170.5 at this moment in time. So if I play it and then I bring this speed up, you'll hear what happens. So what went on there? Well, the speed pulled down, speeds up, and you can see that in the numbers. So the BPMs have sped up to, at the top, 183.60. And if I pull it back to the middle section, it is now at 170-ish. And if I pull it back, it's going slower, 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 right down to 156. So that is how the tune can be brought into time with another tune. You don't have to do that. I will now show you what would happen if I now drag another tune over into the next section of B, and I put those two beats together at the same BPM. So let's choose the one that says 160. So I pull it over, drop it in, 160, and it says 160 BPM. So this tune on this side is 170.48. This one's 160.00. So the idea being that if these two beats or these two BPMs match up, then the beats from those two will match up as well. So if I push play on this one, we've got a voice, and we should be able to differentiate from the voice on this song, and there's no voice on this song, there's just beats. So what am I going to do to make this tune work with this tune, which is the voice? Well, there's a little button on either side called sync, and if I push the sync button on either side on just one of them, it will move the BPMs into exactly the same time. So I'm going to work with this tune as the master. This is 170, and I'm going to use this one, which I want to sync with the 170. So I'm going to push sync, and I'm going to just move this one back, and I want to sync. Oh, and it's not working. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Ah, right, there we go. Needed to be playing for it to sync. So I've learned something as well. 170, 48, 170, 48. So what needs to happen now is I need to push play in time with the beat. So let's start this one running, and I want you to just listen while I push the play on this one and see if the two sound like they work together. Okay, so the voice was in time with the beat on this side, which is our first step to DJ mixing. So in the next tutorial, we'll look at the mix a little bit more closely, and we will look at how we start to balance the sound and how we start to develop what the mix might be. Okay.